So, you think you want to become a consultant. Well, I have some questions that you should ask yourself before going down this path. Hi, I'm Alice Ferris with GoalBusters Consulting. People sometimes approach me asking, I think I want to become a consultant. Can you give me some advice about that? Well, I can't say that I blame you, especially during this time with so many people reprioritizing and re-examining their career paths. The independence of consulting can seem like an attractive option. I founded GoalBusters Consulting in 2001 as a sole practitioner, and over the last 2 decades, we've grown and worked with many different nonprofit organizations that I have simply loved. But before you go too far down this path and decide, yes, I want to become a consultant too, I want to give you some questions to consider. Because realistically, some people love being a consultant and some people hate it. Hopefully, with a little advanced consideration, you can have a sense of what camp you'll be in before you go too far down the consulting path. The first question is, do I want to change or do I want a business? Now, let's face it, sometimes we're just looking to get out of a job. While you can still use consulting as a transition strategy, you may not want to go through all of the hoops if you plan to go back to a staff position. Here's a sign that you just want to change. Maybe you talk a lot about what you dislike about your job rather than what excites you about being self-employed. You know, I hate this, I hate that. Oh, I should just quit and start my own company. That can be a challenge because your motivation may not be sustainable in the long haul. In many respects, if that's what you're saying, you're probably running away from something rather than running towards something. Now, the flip side of that are signs that you want a business. If you can't stop thinking about the possibilities, if all you can think about is this company that you want to launch, if frankly you're really boring your friends and family because you just keep talking about the potential, if you're constantly nerding out on planning and conceptualizing your new consulting practice, well, then you probably want a business. The second question to ask yourself is, how do I like to work? Well, because consulting can be a very lonely process. So do you prefer to work alone, or do you want to work with a team? Do you prefer to work in an office or at home, or are you a nomad like so many of us have been lately? Do you need administrative support, and be honest with yourself, or are you okay with being a solopreneur? Suppose that you really do need that administrative support system around you. Well, in that case, you have a few options. You might want to think about staying with your current position, or finding a new job, or maybe starting a consulting practice. Now, if you still want to go down the consulting path, you do have options. When most people say, I want to become a consultant, they're thinking about becoming a sole practitioner. You put out your shingle and bingo, you're a fundraising consultant. Well, that's only one of your options. You could find someone in a similar boat who wants to create a partnership with you. That's what I ended up doing. While I started my consulting practice as a sole practitioner, Jim Anderson joined me as my business partner in 2006 because he was ready to do something on his own as well. Now, the caution I would give you is to choose someone who has compatible skills with you, not necessarily identical skills to you. That way, like Jim and I have done, you can amplify each other's talents rather than compete. Now, the third option is to join someone else's team. Now, that might be someone else's small practice, or it might be a larger consulting firm. There's a spectrum of options from sole practitioner to being a staff consultant for another firm. So understand that you do have that range of choices. Now, the last question to consider is, do I have the time and money available to make this work? Because as you can probably imagine, a successful consulting practice doesn't happen overnight. Give yourself at least 3 months to plan what you're going to do, as well as transition into your practice. Give yourself more time if possible, maybe as a side gig so that you can gradually develop your portfolio of clients. And then realistically, if you're a sole practitioner or in a partnership, you need about 3 years to really turn a profit. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to bleed money that entire time, but in general, you're not going to make a boatload of money to start. You may never make a boatload of money, frankly. So make sure that you have the financial reserves to be able to do this. So after all that, if the answer still is yes, I would like to become a consultant, this is your time to go. So go ahead. Turn your ideas into reality. Start building those plans and build that network to have your consulting practice become a reality. And if you'd like to reach out to me and just have a conversation about your options, I'm always happy to talk to someone about becoming a consultant. Feel free to visit us at goalbusters.net, and I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. Because, like I said, I love being a consultant, and I hope that you'll like it too.